My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's dessert week.
Oh, let's do a opening to that, shall we?
So, was it dessert or desert?
I don't know.
This is the sparkling repartee that we got with the host this week. Look, I know that they're both really talented. I know Madeline, Sammy in particular, is really talented. And we like to be really positive when we talk Bake Off. But I'm just going to come out and say it. The hosts tonight were abysmal.
Yeah, it was just not their best. And I don't know if the good stuff ended up on the editing room floor.
I'm worried that, as you said while we were watching it, this is the edited stuff.
Yeah, this is what made it to screen. And I'm like, is this what the best that they had that day?
I don't know if you picked it up, but at the very end they did a hashtag times up joke. Where they went, hashtag times up. No, we didn't mean actually that. We meant to step away from the bakes. We're not getting political here. We don't want any political. And I'm like, why? It was just, the whole thing was off.
It was off. Everything was off.
The jokes were not very good. They talked over challenges, over...
I honest to God think that everyone wants to, stab Dean with his snuffling.
I think so, too.
That's just where we're at. They're all like me, wanting to throw things at the TV when that ultra-long judging of... it felt like forever.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it in detail in a minute. But the problem was we came very close to... Kristie was yelling at me at one point to mute it. And I'm like, I need to hear the feedback. And she's like... And I agreed with her. The sniffling on the technical was so bad.
And the sound quality, it just makes me appreciate the finesse that Australian and British and Canada bring to the production.
I've put a call out on Twitter tonight, and I've deliberately been really good with not making pleas or statements. But I did put out a bit of a plea tonight. Lifestyle food, Foxtel. You have a very loyal audience for Great Australian Bake Off.
Yeah.
Incredibly loyal. Most of them are watching this because we really want Great Australian Bake Off back.
Yep.
We've waited long enough.
Yeah.
Give us back the damn show.
Just fuck this shit off and give us some Australian Bake Off.
And this is not anything against these bakers who are suffering through some really crappy circumstances.
And the thing is, I really feel for the bakers. I love all of them dearly. But
Clayton is a ray of sunshine.
Jeff is I just love watching him bake.
And Annabelle's brilliant.
And Stacey just got some beautiful stuff going on.
There's all these people with really good abilities.
Vanessa.
And they're getting killed by a show that it's wrong. I mean,
it's a travesty.
It is a travesty. And you know what the biggest travesty is? You mentioned it, and a couple of other people mentioned it the other day. I can't remember exactly who, but, please forgive me if I don't name you because I can't remember. The show's backwards.
Yep.
That's one of the things that's throwing everyone off.
Filmed from the wrong side.
It's filmed from the wrong side. Every other series of Bake Off is filmed the other way.
Yep.
And it's throwing us off. I mean, Canadians actually filmed the same direction, but you don't notice it as much.
No, I don't know what it just feels like.
The angles on Kiwi are all wrong. It's just the camera angles are all wrong.
It feels squished, like you're missing part of the the tent, like the cabana. Maybe the sex orgy's going on in the corner and they can't
maybe
it's the other side of the cabana is open to the public.
Now, obviously...
Hotel resort guests are just wandering around, going to the spa and the cabana, needing to change into the swimming trunks.
Well, now they've refilled the pool after last week's last week's showstopper. And by the way, good news. Now, we talked about this last week after we, of course, reviewed the missing showstopper, which was the 4-tiered herb pavlova.
Again, my profuse apologies, everyone, for destroying that film.
The fact that they sent that footage to us again after all of that was incredible. So I've promised them I'm looking after it.
Yeah.
It's real.
I haven't been allowed to touch it at all.
It's reel to reel, this one. I don't know why they keep using such archaic formats.
You even set fucking Leo there as a guard dog for
it. Leo's been guarding it. We did sit down and we watched it.
I wasn't allowed to touch the projector.
No, I touched everything.
I couldn't have my cigarettes there. Not that I smoke.
No, the cigarettes that you keep just for the effect of film.
Yes.
You weren't allowed anywhere near them. I banned those. I blocked those. So later on, after we get through the show that you, of course, saw,
yes,
we're going to get into the signature. The signature, which you didn't get to see, which we'll talk about, and we won't tell you what it is yet. We'll keep that powder dry, because I want to see if during the course of this episode you can sort of work out what they did, because it's a brilliant idea.
But I've realised why they've been cutting these things. They're getting one new sponsor in.
Yeah.
And they can't have these extra things that where this sponsor's used come to the screen.
They're tasteful in the way they do sponsorship. It's not like we had zoom-ins on Donovan's chocolates every single second of this show.
No.
And there definitely wasn't a scene where Hannah was cutting pineapple that was fresh with a packet of Dole in front of her.
I think it was a Dole label that goes on the front of the pineapple. But I've never seen a pineapple with that big a label on it.
No, it looked like one of the small sachets of like pineapple that are resealable, and they just laid it down in front going, we can't make people think they can use real pineapples.
Because it's the manufacturing going on. She has to like chop up the rest and shove it into the packet.
As we put forward in a theory the other week, this is just a big front for a Dole manufacturing plant.
Yes.
So let's get into it, because this week we had the technical and the showstopper, because of course we did. So Stacey gave us some blinding insight on the way in, where she said, when baking, every day can change.
No.
It was blinding.
Every day?
Every day can change.
Then why do some days just merge into one for me? Because I don't bake.
Because you don't bake.
Oh my God. Oh, now, thanks, Stacey.
The only thing that I can say that is exactly the same to every other version of Bake Off, there's only one thing I can say that is a constant.
What?
Shannon got on camera, looked down the barrel of the lens and said, you know what? This week should be my week. And I looked at Kristie, she looked at me, and we went, he's going home.
Do you think he's just like, oh, this is a fucking train wreck, I'm getting off. I know what I'll do. This is my week.
The Bake Off curse strikes again. It was spectacular. So obviously, we pick it up at the technical. There was obviously a challenge before this, which they don't show you. Sue's technical. So what did she decide to go with for a technical challenge that was complex?
A big brown log.
A raspberry chocolate roulade, but it must be presented as a tree branch. Why?
Why not just call it a fucking Yule log, which is what this is?
Because it's a tree branch, Kristie.
Is it patented? Is the word Yule log patented?
Or if you're Joel, a penis. Because I'm not even going to wait.
Represent some good C&B action.
I'm not even going to wait till we get to Joel's one to talk about this. Joel made a cock.
Yeah, a big brown cock.
Like, that's what he made, and I'm wondering if it was like post the chain sheds from the rugby boys, and he was just like flashing back.
Maybe he was just showing Sue what he had to offer.
Offering forth. Sue.
It was cream filled as well.
Sue, Dean, look what I'm presenting to you. My cream filled penis. Judge it. Judge it for me. How does it taste? How does it look?
Get that in your mouth.
Yeah. Sue, Dean, wrap your laughing gear around that. So
I don't think those two laugh.
I don't think those two feel. Anyway, but I know why Joel made a penis, right? Because when they went to him and Sonali at the start, neither of them knew what a roulade was, and Sonali's like, it's kind of like a Swiss roll.
Well, it is, and it's covered in chocolate. And it's a fucking Yule log.
No, it's a tree branch. Okay.
Is this PC gone mad? Are they not even allowed to mention Yule?
It was like Shannon,
is a traditional pagan holiday.
It was like Shannon at the end where he picked up a stick and went, "This is a branch," and I'm like, "That's a stick."
It's a stick.
It wasn't even the size of a branch. It was just like a tiny little stick. So Dean and Sue sit down to, of course, sample the roulade, and there are a few things to note about this. And the only reason I've mentioned this, there's two reasons. One. The way that Dean asked the question about the challenge was like he was saying, so Sue, why the fuck have you done this?
Why are you calling it a tree bridge?
And then
I've baked all over the world, and I know this is clearly a Yule log.
And she tried to explain it, but there was no real explanation for why. And then they cut it, and he's like, oh, that looks good. It looked like it was oozing pus.
I couldn't swirl on it.
There was no roll. You couldn't see the clearly defined roll. In fact,
but they told us there was one.
There was one.
It's like Matt Moran counting the
layers of shit torta.
There's a roll. He's pointing. It's obviously not facing him. It's facing the camera, so Dane didn't say it.
There's clearly 20 layers of shit torta there. 2, 4, 20. There's clearly a roll. Where? Where is the roll? There was none. And more importantly, there was one
spoon in the Matrix.
There was one they judged later on where they complained it was all cream and no roll, and it had more of a roll than what Sue served up. That was clearly defined. Sue, it looked like she just made a tube filled with cream.
Yes. Much like someone else's tube filled with cream.
Joel and Sue, peas in a pod. Anyway, so
penises in a pod.
So we started the challenge, and by starting the challenge... by starting the challenge, I mean we zoomed in on a Donovan's chocolate bag. Because product placement's a real thing. And look, we make fun of this on Australian Bake Off whenever you see Devondale, #you would have been congratulated. And
but I'm now appreciating the finesse with which it's
the
done
subtleties.
on Australian. Like, do they think us as an Australian Bake Off audience are so ungrateful? They're like, okay, we're going to fucking show you Kiwi Bake Off so you appreciate Australian Bake Off. Like, were we not appreciative enough?
You appreciate the random
fucking podcast.
You appreciate the random shed of Devondale we've got out the back. You appreciate the glass door with Devondale products behind it. You appreciate the week after Freeform Week, where we sit there and give you about a half an hour lecture on how good's butter. Right? You appreciate that because there's the alternative. Zoom in on a Dole pineapple label while someone cuts a fresh pineapple, like Dole own the concept, and Donovan's chocolate. So Jeff then just goes, I love ganache, which is not a phrase you hear said often. Who loves ganache? Well, I mean, it's nice, but I don't know anyone who goes, you know what I love more than anything in this world? Ganache.
Well, there's bound to be lovers of ganache out there. You go on the internet, there's lovers of all things out there. Some legal, some illegal, some that just should be fucking locked up.
That's what Reddit's for, isn't it?
Yeah, there's going to be a ganache lovers.
Reddit, the back door of the internet. So, and
he's not alone. Don't you ganache shame.
And Stacey.
Ganache-ophiliacs.
Now we love Stacey.
Yes. And she looks awesome. I like that particular shade of.
Or as I've started calling her, Indie Olivia.
She is Indie Olivia.
She's Olivia from Australian Bake Off, but if she was like an indie sort of chick.
Do you think this is where Olivia's gone? She's just like moved to New Zealand
and she's trying to win a second series?
Yeah.
she's trying to do the Trans-Tasman Grand Slam.
Next year, we're going to see this on Great British Bake Off.
Sort of a granny with like small tight glasses and a shawl.
I spent some time in Australia.
What's your name?
In Queensland.
Livia.
I like painting doors and baking.
I make souffle like nobody's business.
Dehydrated pineapple anybody?
So Stacey decided though
How about a dinosaur or camel bigger than the pyramid?
Stacey decided she was going to be the harbinger of doom. And started listing the different ways that everyone could fail this challenge. Why? Just go, look, there are challenges. I'm going to list every single one of them. Jeff looked a little bit confused by the whole thing at first.
Hold on, do you think Stacey was going for, you know when you see, like you watch a kind of like heist movie?
Oh, yes.
And they talk you through like each element of the stage and do a little flash. I think that's what she was waiting for.
So like Ocean's 11 where they're listing how they're going to break into the vault.
Yeah, she's like, now you might over whip your eggs and it might not rise, and then go to Shannon.
Cut to it. And I just said Jeff, that I meant Joel. Joel was the most confused person ever. Joel looked like he didn't know what anything was going on. Sonali then described that the mixture needed to look like a ribbon, but then immediately had a look on her face like she didn't believe a single word she just said. She was like, it needs to look out, when you pull it out, it needs to look like a ribbon. And then she just looked like,
But do you think she's a burlesque dancer? Because they were some sexy moves. Like, she's just like,
it has to be.
A little waving down. Just
they were.
Forward to the Sonali burlesque show.
I did like that Clayton admitted that it took him 3 turns to get the roulade right. I mean, look, he goes, I've only ever tried it 3 times. It was all in the preparation for this, and the first 2 were disasters. But the third one was good.
Look, it sounds like everyone's first time, you know? The first 3, not so good. Third time, you're kind of getting the hang of it. Just saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cabana Debate Club. So we had Cabana Debate Club, the first episode of Cabana Debate Club.
Yeah.
Because everybody put their roulade in the oven and looked at each other and went, so how long does this have to go in for? And thus began a bench-by-bench debate.
Clayton
25 minutes, 20 minutes, I don't know, 25 minutes, I don't know.
Do I hear 26 minutes going once?
Larissa standing in the corner going, I don't know.
I'll just watch.
Larissa was like watching everybody else going, you make a move, I'll do something after you do it.
It's like in The Office, the standoff. You pull yours out. No, you pull yours out.
Now,
I'm not going anywhere.
At this point, I can't remember who it was, went past Joel's bench and asked if they could have his leftover chocolate. And Joel's like, yeah, he goes, oh, can I have some of it? He goes, I have all of it. I don't know if I'm going to need it all. And at that point, Joel was every person who's ever assembled IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
I've got this bucket full of screw. I don't know what they do. It's assembled. The cabinet appears to be standing, but I've got 4 bolts. You have them. I don't know if I'm going to need them.
Just, here you go.
Always work out where the extra bolts go, people, because it's going to fall down.
I was hoping that Sonali was going to do like a bit of a like a song, like a fundraising chocolate song. You know, like in the vein of like Bob Geldof coming in and just a whole bunch of New Zealand.
Choc Aid.
People across the world with grainy ganache need your chocolate.
Ice Magicathon. Then Jeff got very Shakespearean because he looked at it and he had the hosts come over and they're talking to him and he goes, well, to roll or not to roll?
That is the question.
And then I was waiting for him to break out into the rest of the soliloquy, but he didn't, unfortunately.
Suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
And speaking of that, they cut to Larissa, who looked confused. And then, after that, again along the lines of outrageous fortune, they once again cut to one of our hosts, who, of course, was in Outrageous Fortune, who made a really nondescript comment that didn't need to be on the show, followed by them cutting back to the Bakers again looking confused. It was weird.
There's just no care.
They went around to all the benches, and again, nobody seemed to actually know what the hell was going on. They're all looking in their oven going, I don't know, mate, I don't know what this is. Like, at this point, remember, they're baking a flat cake.
Yeah.
They haven't rolled it yet. They haven't done any fillings yet. They've just baked a flat cake.
I'm kind of just going back to Madeline. I'm just thinking, is this whole series being fucked up by poor production?
I think it has to be.
Because the editing is so out of...
She's...
So off.
Again, I can't necessarily speak for both of them. I can speak for Madeline because I've seen her in a lot of stuff, again, in Outrageous Fortune. She's really good. And like most things she's in, she's quite funny.
But is it because she's good at delivering comedy?
It could be, but it could be. But she writes a lot of her own stuff too.
Yeah.
Like she's a writer. She writes really good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a bit concerned about the way they're producing this. I don't get it.
No.
And speaking of things that I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Larissa. That sums up much of this episode. I was really, I don't want to say disappointed in Larissa, but she had a really horrible episode.
Yeah.
And she didn't come across in the most positive light.
Well, it all seems quite negative because, like, later on we have a shot of Madeline and Shannon bagging out Clayton, and that it came across as mean-spirited.
Yeah, it didn't come across as funny. It came across as nasty.
It was bordering on RuPaul, not...
Yeah.
Like, and, yeah, it's just...
And,
it's like, are these...
the way that Larissa was dealing with the idea of the different types of meringue, too. Like, I know she was trying to be humorous, but it didn't come off as humorous.
No.
And what confused me with Larissa in this part here was she took a bake out, everyone starts cooling them, then she decides to put a half-done bake back in the oven.
Yeah.
Like, what? Now, while everyone else is doing this, Hannah is making extra chocolate trees.
Because Hannah's just fucking awesome.
Because Hannah's looking around and going, well, why the fuck not? Then they cut back and they're showing the other bench, and Larissa is now laying down.
Well, it's that kind of show.
Like,
she's Pavlov's Larissa at this point.
I'm starting to wonder if maybe, because there's a lot of talk about Larissa and her share house. Yeah. And I'm starting to wonder if maybe
she sleeps in the kitchen.
No, I'm not suggesting that there may be some illicit substances in the share house.
But it's a share
But
house.
I'm starting to suspect that maybe Larissa partook and needed a bit of a lie down. Because it's the only thing I can think of, really.
Well, there was a lot of running around in the signature, which we're going to get to.
There was a hell of a lot of running around. She was
tired.
busy. She was really busy.
She was fucking,
We'll get to that. Look, she was a woman possessed.
Maybe we need to give it. No, we need to give a pass to Larissa
because she was
she was the real MVP in the signature.
You are right on that. We'll come back to that in a minute, though. So Clayton then turned around and was talking about the role. Well, I assume he was talking about the role when he said, "You've just got to put it in tight." Clayton was delivering better one-liners than anybody that night. He was on fire.
Look, Clayton, hilarious, but in practice, you want to at least kind of make sure that there's a bit of lubricant before you attempt that.
Not that tight. We also now live in a world where Stacey and Annabelle have debated branch order.
Now, do you think they mean 2 branches, one coming off either side, or 2 branches?
No, well, you see what they're talking about is like a branch up here and then another one off to another angle. And it's like an L shape. They're not talking about the nook.
It's not a Y. It's not Yggdrasil.
It's sort of like a little bit like an X, but not really.
He was.
Is it like a crucifix? Did Jesus die for our Yule log?
Jesus on the Yule log.
Jesus is still all right with Yule log. Jesus is no. Anyway,
I mean, he's one of the sacrificial.
Now look, I love
kings celebrated.
I love Hannah
for their birth at that time. I guess
I love Hannah, and we talked about the idea of Hannah making the extra chocolate trees.
It could be Mithras if we really want to go there.
We're still back on the Yule log.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, continue.
So I love Hannah. We've said that before. I do love Hannah. She's awesome, and she was making the trees before. Maybe taking a leaf out of Radiohead's book. Maybe they were fake plastic. But Hannah said something to the camera that worried me a little bit, where she looked at the camera and went, "This is my husband's dream pudding." Tell me, Kristie.
Yeah.
How many times in your life have you dreamed of a Yule log? An actual one, not a euphemistic one.
Oh, okay. I would have to say that totally 0.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's be more. But let's be more generic.
This man has a dream, and it's a pudding, and it's a Yule log. Like, don't bring him down.
His wife is on Bake Off. Surely she's making more than a Yule log.
Yeah, but his dream pudding is a Yule log. So, like, why are you shitting on this man's dream?
Because it looked like a turd. So, and some of them did, especially the ones where they didn't get a sheen on the chocolate. God, there were some turds. Literally turds. Shannon then uttered a phrase which should have let everyone in on the secret that he was in trouble when he went branch, tree. It's all the same thing, really. From that moment on, you should have understood that Shannon was a dead man.
Dead man bacon.
Jeff's looked real. Jeff's looked like a branch.
Touch my hand.
Touch my hand, dead man. Jeff's looked real.
It did.
Joel's looked like a cock. Jeff's looked real. I mean...
And Annabelle's looked fucking perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And
Vanessa's was really delightful. She made little shards to go on it. And yeah, she came 7th. But,
So...
I like Vanessa.
So let's go through the judging. Joel, we've got an exposed end here. Which, again, given it looked like a cock... Calling it an exposed end is fair enough. It was a euphemism.
It looked like a bit of a bell end.
They said that there was a good roll and there was a nice layer of chocolate. Clayton's apparently was chocolate grainy. I'm a bit worried about the amount of times that Dean uses words that end with E.
Well, it's because of the snuffling.
Words. Well, he said omelette-y later on as well.
I don't think the oxygen's getting to his head because he's not using any Sinex. At least drop the man of Vicks Vapor Rub.
It was terrible.
Or some Vicks Vapor Drops.
Then apparently the roll was good, though, on Clayton's. Annabelle's, they said it was pretty and it was well balanced. Hannah, they said... Make of that what you will. Actually, what they said was pretty and too much cream. God, that hurts. How does he do it? That hurts. Jeff, they said it was quite creamy, but there was a nice sponge.
Nice.
Now, remember, Sue's was just a pipe for cream. But Jeff's
was Joel's.
The criticism of Jeff's was it was quite creamy. Like, it was a pipe for cream. Shannon's was leathery, omelette-y, and eggy. You can pick where Dean does the judging, can't you? Why is everything E?
I think he's just practicing. I reckon he's from a long line of people who name shit around Australia. And he's, like, ended up in New Zealand for some reason.
Because he baked all around the world, Kristie.
He's bean baked all around the world, that's what I'm thinking. So I think he's just... not got a very wide vocabulary.
Everything's E.
When in doubt, add a Y to it.
He's like a football player who everyone's like it's Jonesy and Macca and Shazza and like all these really shortened nicknames.
Wally.
Yeah, all these weird nicknames. Sonali.
Probably named... Her name's probably Sonal.
So he's calling her Sonali. All right, now what I would be worried about, there are some words you don't really ever want to hear associated with a bake.
Oozing.
Seepage.
Seepage, that's the word.
Sue referred to seepage.
It looked like it was a burst sewer pipe. Let's not be...
They said there was seepage, there was
forwards.
curdling, and it was underbaked, which explains the seepage.
Look, I've changed nappies with that kind of consistency.
Stacey,
not baby nappies. I'm talking full
adults. Yes. She's a former nurse. That's not a kink. Anyway, Stacey, they said it looked good, but there was
For the right price, it could be.
Anyway, looks good, but no gloss on the chocolate.
Hi, Mrs. Buchanan.
Yeah, hey, Mum. Apparently it was fluffy and tasted good. Larissa, they said it looks unfinished. Funny about that, I think it was unfinished. They also said it was unbalanced, which was a little bit like Larissa's overall night. Unbalanced. Vanessa's was glossy, it was pretty, it cut well, and in the words of Sue and Dean, what a roll.
And the thing is, right, they came to judge Vanessa in the, what's that called? Was it Vanessa or Hannah? Oh, I'm getting white woman confused.
Well, they gave her 7th after saying that it was really good.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused about.
I can't quite work out. They said that Hannah had too much cream, and they said that there was no gloss on Stacey's chocolate, and they both came ahead of her. And like Jeff, they said again there was too much cream, and Jeff came second. I don't understand what the judging is. So the order was Sonali. This is from backwards to forwards. So Sonali, Shannon, Larissa, Vanessa, Hannah, Clayton, Stacey, Joel, Jeff, and Annabelle won the challenge.
Yeah.
So that was what had happened after, well, what is really the second bake, but it's not. It's really the first, because that's the only one they show. But again, there was another one. So the showstopper.
Yes.
Let's get into this showstopper so we can get out of this showstopper as fast as humanly possible. 2.5 hours to make a pavlova. Now, again, as we said...
Coming off the back.
A brave idea.
Coming off the back of those pavlovas.
The amazing herb 4-tiered pavlovas.
I know, showstopper pavlovas last week. They're doing it twice in a row.
Yep. Now...
Yeah.
Now it's two showstoppers back to back on Pav. Said one was 4 hours and it was a herb.
Yeah. Featuring lots of mammoths.
Lots of mammoths. There were tons of mammoths, and the eagles at the end were amazing.
Yeah, but did you see the evidence of the mammoths like on screen tonight.
Oh, the trees at the back.
All the trees that had fallen down at the back.
Yeah, like the
mammoth.
obviously that was where the mammoths had sort of disappeared into the distance.
Yeah, well, I heard they got into the booze cupboard.
Oh, for God's
and went
sake.
for a bit of a stampede.
So that's why they'll be using all the booze tonight, because they needed to get rid of it in case they came back.
the mammoths came back.
Yeah, that makes sense. Look, that makes sense. We don't know
alcoholic mammoths.
We don't know what the transit system is like in Hobbiton for alcoholic mammoths.
No, we don't.
We don't know. We haven't been over there and checked. Bakers, Clayton in particular, because I know you've sort of heard bits and pieces of this, and hey, if you could let us know what the mass transit system is like for drunken mammoths in Hobbiton, we'd greatly appreciate it. I mean, do they get a discount?
Yeah.
Simple question.
Is there an Opal card or the equivalent?
Yeah, do they have some
Is it a
form
one-ring card?
Is it a...
Gets you on all the transport.
All the transit. Is it a bus?
one card to rule them all.
Is it a bus? Is it a tram? Is it a train?
Issued to men.
What form of transport?
To the elves.
What form of transport do they use? Anyway, moving on. You needed to have a curd and a whipped cream element in there. Sonali worried me tonight because in both challenges, she looked at the camera and went, I don't really know, I'm winging it.
Yeah, that's...
Not a good attitude. You know what else was a good attitude, though, from the cameraman?
What?
Another close-up of the Donovans. I've got a hunch.
They're sponsored by Donovan's?
I'm thinking Donovan's might have sponsored.
It's either them or Cadbury.
One or the other. Annabelle then looked down the camera and said, Pavlova is hard to make. No. I'm going to say no. I've checked in with a few bakers that I know, and I asked them, is Pavlova hard to make, especially with 2.5 hours? And the response was, not particularly.
And my mum's made Pavlova, and this is
yeah, your mum's made Pavlova. That gives you an idea.
This is years after the whole egg, like the plastic Pavlova egg.
Yes.
She's made Pavlova from scratch. That went well. Tasty, tasty.
Look, I don't think that it is a difficult thing to make, but apparently they were talking up how hard it was. So now Vanessa's had limoncello involved, and both in terms of the bake and the curd, and also then they put limoncello next to it to drink.
Do you think... Oh, I know why they're saying it's hard to make. Because back-to-back, like she put...
Back-to-back, yeah, they've already done one.
It's really hard, and they had to edit out the rest of what she was saying.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
So Vanessa's limoncello one. Now, the interesting thing for me was that when we get to the judging, you can tell these judges are rookies because they didn't drink the booze. They had to be prompted to drink the booze. Now, everywhere else in the world, that booze has gone first.
Yep.
Like, British, they're not even eating the pavlova. They're just drinking.
Okay, I know what it is. The judges are just there. They're just present. They're not observant. They're not engaged. They're actually not seeing what's going on. And it's very superficial.
Yeah, the judges don't feel like they're part of the whole process.
No.
That's the problem.
You don't see them, floating around when stuff's going on unless they're being...
And when they do interject, it's confusing because the way they interject just doesn't make sense.
No.
So Clayton...
Could be editing, though. Yeah.
Clayton used booze because
Ray of sunshine,
Clayton knows how this works.
A little Clayton of sunshine.
He made his drunk pavlova, the first use of kiwi fruit, and then we had the moment that made Twitter yell. Clayton talks about what he's doing on the side, and he says, I'm making some macarons.
Yep.
Dean...
Who's baked all over the world.
Starts talking about the macaroons.
I don't know. Are they the Queensland state of origin team?
Yeah, they are.
The president of France?
They are definitely... It's definitely those things.
Do you have it with cheese? Is it a pasta?
It's actually a 1920s and 1930s American actor.
Macaron Rooney?
Yeah, Macaron Rooney, yeah. Look, there's a great chart going around. We'll retweet it, but it was being retweeted by... I think Rosillian retweeted it. And a couple of other people as well were putting it out there, but it's all the different pronunciations. But macaroon is not one of them.
No.
Macaroons are a different thing.
Yeah, completely.
So, Larissa.
Do you think just Dean stuffed up, his whole sinuses are just stuffed up? And he
can't pronounce anything anymore.
Yeah.
So, Larissa, she turned around to the judges and said, I've memorised a recipe. So they asked her some very basic questions and she couldn't remember a single part of it.
Yeah, but that happens, But
under don't pressure. Brag that you've memorised a recipe and then when they go, so how much are you using of this? And she's like, I don't remember.
I have no fucking idea.
So Stacey's had raspberry through it and looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
Joel decided that he was going to fold in cocoa in honour of the All Blacks because, sure.
He should have gone for some charcoal powder or something if he really wanted that kind of, like, actual black look.
Yeah, I mean,
it would have just gone grey, really.
Yeah, I mean, in honour of the All Blacks, the idea of a slightly tinge, and he said originally his comment was, "I'm going to have a marbled pavlova," and it just was chocolate.
Yeah,
there was no marbling; it was plain brown. Which, by the way, the All Blacks are, funnily enough, as the name suggests, black,
not brown.
Not brown. So, like, what he really made there was
their Brown album.
What he made there was an homage to the Cleveland Browns football team in America, not the All Blacks. Wrong team.
Do you think it was as good as the Cleveland Browns?
Well, this year they're looking like they're actually a really good football team for the first time in about 70 years.
Just
so Joel's on the back of the wave. Now, Shannon.
Cake guy.
I could suggest and talk about what Shannon said he made, or we could talk about the omelette that he did. I don't remember what he was going to make. All I know was it turned out like an omelette.
And he was doing an Italian meringue, because that was supposed to be more robust.
Certainly was something. It was a coaster.
I think less roe, more bust.
More bust, less roe, 100%. It was weird. Like, Shannon's, it was smaller than the others, and I'm not just talking about thin. It was like... It was like a saucer compared to a dinner plate. And he finished, and then, like, towards the end of it, he turned around to Clayton and he goes, "Do you want an extra pair of hands? I'm finished really early."
They look like the tester pancakes you make. You know, the first pancakes that you put in the fry pan?
Just to work out the temperature?
And then they're the ones that you just pick out while you're cooking actual pancakes. Yeah.
It did. Well, he made tester pancakes. Clayton was more worried about overbeating his macarons, macaroons,
macaronis,
macarons, who cares? Meanwhile, a quick reminder, this is a pavlova challenge. And we're worrying about the texture of the biscuits for him and Larissa, by the way.
Yeah.
And this is where Larissa was like, they're doing Italian meringue, which is popular, but it's not what I do.
No.
Who cares?
We don't give a shit. And this is the thing, it's like we don't need bitchy commentary. Like, if it's not
that's
funny,
our job.
If it's not informative, we don't need that.
So Jeff made a pav with pomegranate jelly, and he used the booze, but he hid it.
Yeah.
He didn't want you to taste it. What's the point, Jeff? Like,
Look,
I actually...
Be like Vanessa and just be fucking obvious. But even then, they missed it.
Here's my question. Was Jeff...
So essentially you need to pour the booze down the judges' throats before they notice it.
Well, here's my question. Was Jeff just hoping to get drunk on cake? And, like, not remember the rest of the day?
Well, look, weren't we all?
Now, at this point, something amazing happened. Clayton produced the margarita mix.
Ooh, my ass.
And then...
Yeah.
Maddie and Clayton had an interaction.
It was delightful.
It was whimsical. It was funny. The back and forth was good. The energy was amazing.
Yes.
It wasn't
stilted.
The rest of the hosting.
Oh.
Can we have these two as the hosts? Like, I'll keep Maddie if we can get Clayton. And I don't think it's the fault of the hosts. I just think that Clayton's just got personality.
Bit nasty.
No, what I mean
I don't think it's their fault they've got no personality.
I didn't say they don't have personality. What I'm saying is the producers are sucking the life out of them.
Yeah.
And he's a contestant. He's allowed to have personality.
Yes.
The hosts...
with his cool little dance.
Aren't. No. So the hosts have had the personality drained from them like a life force. And there's Clayton dancing around and being bright and happy. It's like, you can't hate Clayton.
No.
You can't. Larissa then hit us with the haunting refrain of, "I'm making a raspberry curd," which is like lemon, but with raspberries.
Thanks, Larissa.
Larissa explains it all. It's the TV series coming your way.
But again, we have to give a pass to Larissa after being the MVP.
Look, what she did in the first challenge was incredible.
I think she's just, all of her energy was drained doing shit that should have been taken care of.
Production should have done it.
It was unprofessional what
Once
went on.
again, Larissa explained it all.
Saved the day.
She did. Shannon. So what Shannon actually made was strawberry and mango with a kiwi fruit curd, allegedly.
Yes.
Couldn't really tell. It just looked like wafers and coasters. So Annabelle made a kiwi fruit and lime pavlova and then proceeded to pipe for her life.
You better pipe it for your life.
The funniest thing I think I've seen so far this series was Shannon finished his little, whatchamacallit. I'm not even going to call it a pav. He turned around and looked at Annabelle as she finished the last of her piping and just went, oh, wow. And there was this look on his face that was, I'm going home.
There is a disproportionate amount of pavlova in comparison to mine here.
But then we had... Sonali did something that made me ask a question. She decided to go with a rosemary, pomegranate, and rose water.
Why not?
Was she trying to go home, knowing that Shannon was bombing so hard that rose water might be her way out?
Yes. She's gone, let this look like and taste like potpourri.
Unfortunately for her, the only thing you couldn't taste in her pav was rose water.
It's like, sorry, darling, there were 2 ships that came out of Belfast and I'm sorry, Shannon's captaining the Titanic.
You were on the Olympic. You were on the Olympic or the Britannic. Actually, it would have been the Britannic because the Britannic was the other one that sunk. He was on the Titanic. Yeah, you both sunk, but he went down far more publicly than you ever could have. You hit a mine as a hospital ship in World War I and sort of half sunk off the Aegean coast. He sank in the middle of the Atlantic after claiming to be, at the start of the episode, unsinkable. Shannon is the Titanic. Like, it really
Name
is
of
true.
the episode.
Shannon is the Titanic. Hannah made pineapple and white chocolate, which I liked, but she also made spheres.
You walk out the door, and Shannon knows that his pav is not
quite small. Shannon, captain of the Titanic. So now Joel decided to change his tribute to the All Blacks by just sticking a fern on it. If you liked it, then you should have put a fern on it. If you liked it, then you should have put a fern on it.
He's going to be banned from all of their fucking, games.
Oh, yeah.
Just disassociate yourself from it, yeah?
All right, so the judging, because let's get rid of this challenge, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Clayton, they love the height of it. Sue turned around and went, I can see your curd.
And he put a macron back on that had fallen on the floor.
Yeah, and it fell off on the floor a second time. Dean loved that curd and the taste was good. Vanessa, they were impressed with how much like a pavlova it looked. That's what the challenge was.
Look at that.
Then Sue
made a pavlova.
Then Sue followed up by going, it's a showstopper. Was she just stating the fucking obvious or what? You're a human. Kitchen, bench, Dean, snuffling. I don't...
Stabbing.
They said it tasted good. They didn't drink anything until the judges went, are you going to drink the booze or what? And they're like, oh, so sorry. They said that Jeff's was a pav and a half, so realistically then he should have won because he made more than a full pav. He made a pav and a half. Light and fluffy, which is great eating. Stacey's, they said, was pretty as a picture.
It was.
They then said it had very distinct layers, but the layers were thin. And they said the curd was good, but the layers were thin. The judging is really inconsistent. Sue asked Joel what happened, and Joel went, well, all 3 layers are there. They had all collapsed into each other. Dean found it too moosey.
But old Sue there disagreed.
Yeah, she loved it. Now,
she liked the taste of it in her face.
Now, can I just point out that Dean found it too moosey? I found that it was more like liquid. It looked like a lava cake.
Yeah,
when she cut the pavlova open, it ran.
I just think Sue's a bit obsessed with
She seems
Joel.
to like Joel.
Just picking up a vibe there.
They said that Sonali's looked like a garden, but the rose water was hidden. I don't know how you hide rose water, but well done. Shannon, they only said back to the drawing board. There was nothing else.
Is that where he lives? Maybe his home is called the drawing board.
Well, Cake Guy lives on the drawing board. Probably. Hannah, they said...
House painted in that chalk paint.
They said Hannah had a busy display. It was very tropical, but Sue wanted less busyness.
Oh, but she doesn't like a plain white fucking cake, but doesn't want it too over-decorated.
I don't want a lot. I don't want a little. I don't want nothing.
Don't listen to her, Hannah. You do you. I like you, Hannah. You just keep doing it.
Meanwhile, Larissa made a gatto.
In the gatto, supposed to be a pavlova.
And that led to Sue uttering the phrase, I have a mouthful of cream.
It's taken out of context.
We'll just leave
her and
that.
Joel in the break.
That was after the first challenge. Anyway, Star Baker was Annabelle, and obviously Shannon went home and did a good job of feigning surprise.
I'm flying, Jack. I'm flying. What?
He's like, me? What? And then everyone laughed because he was like, of course it's me.
He's off to go and dance under decks.
So.
Not Ant and Dex, but like...
No, not Ant and or Deck. All right. So we said the problem is that they're cutting out challenges that are far more interesting than what you're getting to see.
And like, we probably all got a bit annoyed with Larissa, and if you'd only seen these two technical challenges, you'd be absolutely right to think that, but you don't understand what she's just been through.
She saved herself and, realistically, the show.
The show.
So now we watched this footage again. We got it was reel to reel. It was old reel to reel. Leo is guarding it for us faithfully, but we did watch this episode beforehand. The signature bake.
Yeah.
For dessert week. Well, what else really could it be? There was only one thing it could be.
Mug cake.
It is a mug cake. Not mud. Mug cake.
M-U-G.
Yep, so we've all been there. We've all gone to the shops and gone, I'm really hungry. I just need something quick on the go.
We've
mug
all
cake.
seen MasterChef where they make the sponge cake in a cup.
45 seconds in the microwave.
Bob's your uncle.
Great, that's fantastic.
So we're thinking, great, this is going to be nice and quick.
So they go, you have 4 hours.
Holy shit.
So, and the reason why they said 4 hours, now that they didn't sort of give you a lot of the breakdown, but what they didn't tell you was, we've talked often about the fact that they don't have a wide range of ingredients inside. Well, in this episode, one of the reasons they gave you 4 hours was they literally had nothing. You had to get in a car and go down to the shops.
Yep.
And you had to buy the mug cake mix, and by the way, we're referring to the new Donovan's mug cake mix.
Yes.
Only Donovan's. Couldn't buy anyone else. Someone tried to buy greens. Who was it tried to buy? Sonali. Sonali tried to buy greens. Big mistake. Big mistake. They nearly kicked her out of the show.
Shannon, fingers drifted over the white wings, thankfully.
No, they hit him. Did you see the way that Sue cracked him over the knuckles?
Oh, yeah.
It was brutal.
Did you see the way that touching those white wings, you might find yourself in a bit of mischief.
Did you see the way, though, that Sue also guided Joel towards where the right one was, the Donovan's packet mix?
Yeah.
It was very suggestive. And they had to get the milk, obviously, because that's the other ingredient.
Yeah.
Now, they were very kind. You could choose any size or type of mug that you wanted.
Yep. I was quite impressed because, what's her facey? Vanessa got one of the ones with the little cats. You know, it has a tail for the handle and little ears. I thought and paws coming over the edge. It was very cute.
I thought Jeff's use of a beer stein was interesting.
Oh, I mean, technically it's a mug.
It is. And Clayton, what I really loved about Clayton was, now the best way I can describe what Clayton did, you know the Dutch jugs where you've got the different finger holes and you've got to hold the finger holes down to drink out of the handle?
Yeah.
He had one of those, the ones with the faces on them.
Yeah.
It was really fucking cool.
It was. I'm thinking this is going to be interesting to eat.
Yeah.
Out of, but hey, let's do this.
But what a design he came up with. Now, in line with what she was wearing, which was sort of a Victorian era garb and all part of the tablecloth. I don't know which kind it was. Annabelle was using crystal.
She was, but that's because she brought in her grandmother's crystal set. Like
Yes, she did.
Teacup set. And she wanted to do all these test microwave bakes because she'd never made a mug cake before.
But she
She's like,
decanted the milk, which was nice.
it was.
Like, out of the crystal decanter, the milk just poured beautifully.
I'm surprised she didn't go and milk it herself. You know, she's back there in the 1800s.
I think she thought about it, but I think she was a bit worried about the pasteurisation process. 4 hours is not long for pasteurisation.
Now, what I thought was indicative of the poor production value of this show and the low budget they're flying with, one microwave.
Now, I actually thought this was clever in some ways because you've got 4 hours, obviously, but you've got to go buy stuff at the shops.
Yeah.
And you really only need 45 seconds. And they stressed they wanted these mug cakes piping hot.
Yeah.
So one microwave meant that you had to time it to perfection.
Yeah, to keep it warm.
And I thought that was in some ways it was clever. In other ways,
I thought it was cruel.
it was cruel. And it was kind of cruel.
As it turned out, really fucking unprofessional.
Well, I mean, nobody could have predicted that Shannon was going to break the microwave.
No, because he got jack shit of Annalise hogging it to do all her test bakes.
Yeah.
So he's gone to grab it, and whoops-a-daisy, king of the Titanic, Captain of the Titanic, drops the bastard on the floor.
He did. He dropped it on the floor, and it sort of... The door sort of half came off, but not really. Yeah. But the back fell out.
Yeah. Now, in true Shannon style, he just put it back up as if nothing had happened. You know, no cake on cake action, no microwave on the floor action. So Annalise's gone to pop another cake in to test. Boom, blows up.
Well, to be fair, Annalise covered it in foil.
Yeah,
that was where she went wrong with that one.
Well, it was
foil
a
in a microwave.
Foil in a microwave and having it dropped.
Exactly.
What really caused it? We'll never know.
I don't think anyone really knows. I mean, Sue launched an investigation, but she didn't get anywhere with it. And Dean was reached for comment, and all he said was... And I think he spoke for all of us at that point.
Yeah.
Now, what we did notice, though, there were a couple of people who really followed the sponsorship train.
Yeah.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Her ingenious attempt to add dull pineapple.
It was interesting because it wasn't just like pieces of pineapple. She was trying to add the whole pineapple. Now, she had picked a rather large mug. One of those ones that you remember in the 90s you'd get the soup cup?
Yes.
And you'd have your soup out of the big, large...
What I loved about that big soup mug, by the way, was it was sponsored by Dole. So, like, Dole was written on the side of it, and it was great. I mean, look, product placement where you can get it.
Exactly. Now, at this point, with the microwave blown up, two champions emerged, Clayton and Larissa. Now, Larissa's gone, I've got this, because everyone's like, fuck, we got no fucking microwave, what are we going to do? And the crew had taken the microwaves out of their, like, the green rooms, so couldn't use those. Apparently, they were really making sure that only one microwave could be used.
Yeah, they had a bit of a sneaking suspicion that someone was going to run off.
Yeah, so Larissa's pulled out her toolkit, because she's a mechanical engineer, started working on the microwave. Clayton's gone, okay, peeps, let's go round the resort and see who's got microwave in their rooms.
And the only bit of good camera work in the whole series happened at this point, where everybody got an individual camera person, and they ran around the resort door knocking. It was spectacular. Some of the scenes, Room 27, we can't say what was happening in Room 27.
But my oh my.
Look, they're a very permissive society.
They are, and you know...
Good for them.
We're not going to kink shame.
Let a thousand flowers bloom. But everyone was running in and out of rooms trying to use, like, individual microwaves in the rooms.
But the resort had strict instructions to remove all the microwaves. They'd been shipped out of the fucking island.
It was the problem. So they've all come running back. And obviously Larissa is still explaining it all and trying to fix this damn microwave. Meanwhile, the hosts are yelling out the time cues. And they got down to, I think it was about 27 minutes, which was a weird time call.
Yeah, but when they did the 26.5-minute time call, that's when I've really gone, what the fuck's going on here? But as it turned out, they were just really enthused because there was nothing much else to do.
Well, they were trying to work it out. And then we got 26.5, 26.25.
26 and 5 seconds.
26. And then we got second by second.
We did.
Which, look, was a bit too much.
But what I liked about it is it made it look like Larissa was like chasing the clock, like it was like she was defusing a bomb. And so I think it would have been better if the music person hadn't gone with the normal Bake Off stuff, but did like a bit of Mission Impossible style.
Oh, that would have been
great.
But we didn't need to worry about things exploding because at the 4-minute mark, we suddenly heard, Eureka!
And boom, we're ready to go.
Larissa fixed the microwave.
Yep. Now, an extra 5 minutes was granted because we needed to get everyone through.
They've got to pour the milk. They've got to use a fork and stir the cup.
Yep.
They've got to put it in a microwave.
Yep.
They have to press the button that says 45.
Yep. Make sure it's set at the right temperature.
They have to hit the start button. They then have to take it out when it says enjoy your meal. There was a lot involved in this part of the challenge.
Staring at the microwave going,
Larissa had a micro sleep.
Bing.
Like she had a big nap, obviously, in the technical, but she had a micro sleep at the door. Now, Larissa got to go last as a reward, which was, I think that was fair.
Well, all of the everyone pulled together and basically said, look, if it wasn't for Larissa, we wouldn't have this microwave. Yeah. So she gets to go last to make sure hers is served piping.
Now, the actual feedback was they were all exactly the same. Yep. There was no difference, except Shannon. Now, Shannon had taken a leap out of Hannah's book.
Yeah.
But he'd taken the leaf out of Hannah's book, but he'd got it a bit wrong. And what actually happened with Shannon was he just put Dole pineapple in the mug and covered it in milk.
Completely forgetting the whole cake.
He forgot the mix. So Hannah abandoned the idea of her pineapple because she went, that's a bit weird.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that weird. But Shannon went, no, I'm going to run with this.
Yeah.
And just did milky pineapple.
Which is not a strict Dole flavour. They have chocolate, they have vanilla, there is red velvet, there is kiwi passion, and there is...
Donovan's have been very specific with the way they've done this. Donovan's and Dole have not worked out yet, although they haven't worked on Barney Banana.
No, they haven't. But there is a Donovan's Delight, which is the 5th, and I wasn't too sure what that flavour was.
I don't think anyone knows what that is. It's probably Hokey Pokey.
It is, but it was like a blue cake, and that was done by Vanessa.
That's spectacular.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we got from Shannon was milky pineapple.
Yeah.
Which apparently isn't good. I mean, who knew? So poor Shannon, again, look, he really lost out. But Larissa, she had a bad second and third challenge. But the poor Vanessa, poor Larissa, she was worn out.
Absolutely. Like, she could barely pull her mug out of the microwave and present it to the judges.
Do you know how hard it is to fix a national microwave from 1979?
I'm sure Joyce May sold that one.
Like, National is not even a company anymore.
She couldn't find the fucking technical guide
ABBA advertised online. National. ABBA. Right. They sang it to the tune of Fernando.
With National.
Yeah, with National. It was terrifying. And, like, the fact that it was the only microwave left in the cabana. Look, production, get your act together.
Yeah.
So, that's about all we got time for this week here on the Washing Up Podcast.
It is. And, unfortunately for Shannon, he's off the boat.
Shannon also seemed like he was done with baking.
Yeah, he really wasn't that hard.
At the end, his comment was, I don't know if I'm going to bake anymore. I might go and live life.
What was he, like, slave to the baking?
Slave to the baking.
Get out of my head, Buchanan.
Anyway, on that note, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you for Bread Week next week.
I'm baking, Jack. I'm baking.